I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President.
That's enough.
Welcome to today's Cable News Craziness, where we take a look at some of the craziness that takes place on cable news. We've all seen the situation that took place in Columbus, Ohio, after the situation that took place in Minnesota. A young 16-year-old girl was attempting to stab another 16-year-old girl. A police officer shows up on the scene and kills the 16-year-old girl with a knife. Many people, including LeBron James, have taken to social media and said things that were not sane, not smart, and not good. Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon are having one of their famous handoffs on CNN, and surprisingly, a situation that would lead itself to a lot of cable news craziness may not do that here. Roll it.
You know, you were really, to be honest, let's let the audience into something. So Don and I heard about this story last night on social media while we were doing coverage for you of the Chauvin verdict last night. And the initial reports didn't seem right. And it was so interesting for me, as emotional and personal as these stories are to someone of color, especially Don, you with your background, you were cautious about it. You were saying, I want to see this one. I want to see this. Because there was a lot of emotion, and understandably so. You got a 16-year-old kid that's gone.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one. I do not know how to explain this to people in a way that doesn't make somebody very angry.
Well, yes, and we're dealing with a lot of emotion right now, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And I think that is, it's real, and you have to take that part has to be taken into account. There's a lot of anguish. People are very emotional right now, but we've got to be fair about what happens when police arrive at scenes. It is tragic that it's a 16-year-old girl, just as it is tragic that it's a 13-year-old in Chicago. When police are chasing people, they don't know how old they are. And they don't run and say, hey, how old are you? Oh, I'm 13. You know, my mom let me, that you don't know that. Or I'm 16. When they roll up on a scene, they see people tussling around, someone has a knife, and their job is to protect and serve every life on that scene. And if they see someone who is in the process of taking a life, what is that decision? What decision do they have to make? And I know that people say, well, you know, you could do this, you could do that. Tasers don't work the way guns work.
Not at that distance.
Not at that distance.
And not with that amount of time.
Yeah, right. Tasers, then they don't always connect. So you've got to get, you know, two prongs or what have you, and it's got to connect or whatever. But I see it. If the woman in the pink was my sister, niece, wife, whatever, you have to make a decision. Is one life on that scene more valuable than another? And
Wow. Okay. Good job, guys. I normally rip on you for being so crazy here, but in fact, you guys were sane. You had a rational conversation, and that actually made a lot of sense. Unfortunately, your colleagues and guests on the rest of your network didn't follow your lead, but kudos to you two. If I'm going to criticize you when you do cable news craziness, I'm going to praise you when you get it right. And so no cable news craziness here. Two sane individuals, and maybe two sane individuals on CNN is cable news craziness. So there you go. Like, subscribe, follow, come on back, and I'm sure we'll have some cable news craziness next time. Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for my good friend Matt Curtis and the Matt Curtis Real Estate Team. Now, Matt Curtis has been a friend of mine for a long time, but he's been my realtor longer than that. He has done a great job for me. He has bought and sold homes. One time he sold a house so quickly that I was standing in the living room with my wife and I said, where are we going to live? We sold our house so quickly we didn't even have a place to live. Matt Curtis solved that problem for me as well. Matt Curtis is that amazing. So learn more about Matt Curtis and the Matt Curtis Real Estate Team by going to mattcurtisrealestate.com. Check them out today and tell them Dale Jackson sent you.